You don't make money, you take it. Now, I know that every time that I drop this in a conversation, at least someone is shocked. But the truth is, unless you're a central bank, you don't make money. You don't have the ability, at least not legally, to turn on the printer and just make it. So why am I telling you this? Because once you make the mental shift that every cent in your bank account is a cent that you took from someone else, it forces you to rethink the way you do things. Now, I'm not saying that in a bad way. If you're like most people, someone, like a customer or your boss, probably willingly gave you their money. You might sell t-shirts. Well, you give me a nice t-shirt, I'll give you some money for it. Great. But that doesn't change the fact that you just took my money. Because something most business owners, most salespeople don't realize is that people actually don't want your product or service. They don't want it. Whatever it is that you are selling is that thing that stands between them and what they really want. It's the necessary evil that's going to cost them money and time. So the question then becomes, what do they want? And I know you've heard this 1,000 times, but what I hope is that the reframing that we just went through will give you a new perspective on this. What they want is results. They want whatever your product or service delivers that is going to get them closer to their desired outcome. And it doesn't really matter whether you are solving for fears or problems or frustrations, insecurities, or if you are fulfilling some cravings or giving them the status they want. Whatever, they are after the results. So, back to the main point I'm making here. If all the money you get is taken from someone else and that you want to take more of it, well, then you really have to start thinking from the angle of, why are people gonna give me the money they worked so hard to get? Their blood, their sweat, their tears, why are they gonna give you that? And so you have to sit down and really ask yourself, okay, I have this product or this service, and I want to sell it to this kind of ideal customer. And they are going to give me their money because you start filling in the blanks. And what you need to do there is to come up with a whole list of reasons why, not just a few, a bunch of them. And you need to go beyond the obvious. You need to go beyond because it's a beautiful product, because it solves that problem. No, come up with a whole list. And when you do this, when you go through this exercise, there are really, I would say, two things that you need to keep in mind. Number one, you need to instantly be able to show them they are in the right place. And how do you do that? Well, you do that by providing exactly what they're looking for. What's the specific, and I'm insisting on the specific here, it's very important to avoid the generalities because that's what all the others are doing. What's the specific, measurable, factual, concrete outcome that person wants? And once you nail that, the next problem you have to solve is, how are you going to state that in a way that's impossible for that person to misunderstand? That's the first thing to keep to mind. Number two, humans are irrational. And I know we like to think that we're rational, but we're not. We have like these mechanisms to rationalize everything that we do so that it seems rational to us, so that we can sell it to others, so that we can justify it to ourselves. By the way, we also have mechanisms that don't really allow us to see the truth about human beings in ourselves. So when I say humans are irrational, your first thought probably was, yeah, they are. So yes, you need to be specific, factual, measurable. But, because there's a but, if you want someone to give you their money, you also need to make a connection between that emotional, irrational desire they have and the result, the outcome, the benefit that your product offers. And that connection has to be perfect. Okay, what we are looking for here is emotional impact, not some kind of intellectual impact. We are looking for the emotions. Now, something about that process, that framework that we just went through, it's not just for your marketing campaigns. Okay? It works equally well, or I would say maybe even better, with more complex and personalized or individualized sales processes. So whenever you walk in a sales meeting or in a sales conversation, ideally you did your homework upfront, but the thing you always have to ask yourself is, why is that person in that position gonna give me their money? Or why is that person in that position gonna take a risk and give me the money of the company they work for? And I really do believe that if you do these exercises seriously and with the depth it requires, all other things being equal, I don't really see a world where you wouldn't be successful. Now, that said, let me also be very clear here. Of course, there are always two sides to one coin. And just because I've made a provocative statement at the beginning of this video doesn't mean that in any way, shape, or form I'm pushing people or telling them to be unethical. Okay? For one, that's usually not a very successful long-term business strategy. But on the other hand, the thing that's important for you to understand is everything I just said assumes that, one, you have a good product or service, and two, that that product or service delivers more value than the money it takes. Now, if you enjoyed this video or got any value out of it, you know what they say. Follow me, like, maybe share it with someone else, comment. Anyway, let's keep this conversation going.